Okay, this video is going to be about the cs151 summer 2019 homework 2 answers. Okay, so you should have all received an email from me with your results on the homework, and I will put those into Blackboard. So right now, let's look at my analytics folder for the homework 2. So change directories. Open my Atom editor. Atom is just a text editor. Okay, here we go. Analytics, homework 2. Alright, so the number of people that took the test is 16. Score for perfect is 24, possible 24. The top score, there was somebody who got a 24, so that's fine. Average score was about 78, so that's a little above a C. So the first assignments were a little bit easier, I suppose, but still this is about right. We got 3 A's, 4 B's, 6 C's, and a couple F's, a few F's. Alright, so here are the missed questions. We're going to go over each one of these and figure out what the right answer is. In the Linux terminal, what are the 3 primary communication channels for a command to utilize after it has been called? Okay, so we've talked about this lots of times. The standard input is a way to get information into a running program. The standard output is a channel where you can get output from the program, and generally the standard output prints out to the terminal. And then standard error. So if there's an error in the program, you might want error-specific messages to be communicated back to you. And by default, standard error is piped to the terminal screen, just like standard output is. Okay, but it's important to understand these 3 primary channels for communication because they come up in lots of different programs that you write. Okay, so standard in, options, and arguments. The reason this one isn't correct is because options and arguments, you supply those after or before you execute the command. Alright, so when I have a command open here, like Atom, I'm supplying an argument, and that is input data, but the question specifies after the command has been called. Okay, so once we're already in the command. Alright, so that's the key to that one. And command is not an input method, so that one doesn't work either. What is the default behavior for a command communicating on standard output? Print to the terminal, we just said that. You can print to the file using the greater than symbol. That redirects the output from standard output to a file. Okay. In the Linux terminal, what is the default behavior for a command communicating on standard error? That also prints to the terminal screen. Okay. This is not a thing that happens. Printing to a file you can do. There is a way to redirect standard error, but we haven't gone over that yet. Okay, but by default you do not redirect it to a file. Alright, in the Linux terminal, how can you redirect the output of a command to a file, overriding that file if it exists? So that's just the single greater than operator. Alright, and then this one is incorrect because it doesn't overwrite the file, it just adds to it. Alright, in the Linux terminal, how can you redirect the output of a command file keeping any existing file data and appending it to the new file? Okay, this one is the double greater than. Alright, this is not correct, it's the wrong direction. And then that overwrites the file. In the Linux terminal, how can you redirect the standard output of a command to the standard input of another command? Okay, so we mentioned this in the lecture videos using the pipe operator. Okay, so I can take input from a command and pipe it to another command. So this is, if I type ls, that shows me all of the items in my this current directory. ls-al shows me all of the items but listed out vertically. Okay, and all the hidden items. So what I can do is I can say ls-al and pipe that output. Instead of making the output go to the standard output, the terminal screen here, we're piping the standard output to another command, and grep. and I can search for something in here. So if I want to search for something that has a CS in it, okay, that first line, cs151, right? I can grep for something that has an ES in it. And now we've got more lines. We've got this ESLint ignore, ESLint RC, node modules, right? They all have an ES in that line. So we took the standard output of this command and piped it in as standard input to this command. And as we get into Python, which is coming up in the next couple of videos, you'll understand more about standard input and how it works. Alright. Okay, in the Linux terminal, how can you use the output of one command as an argument for another command? So using backticks around the first command so that it is evaluated first by the shell, and then the command output is used inline in the larger command. Alright, so what does that mean? If I use backticks, so let's say we have the date command, and I want to, if I just execute the date command, it gives me the date. If I want to create a file with the touch command, but I want the name of the file to be, let me change directories first, cd/home desktop. Okay, if I want to the name of the file to be the result of the date command, touch creates a new file or modifies the or updates the modified time of the file. Every file has some information about it when it was last modified. Okay, so if you touch the file, it means you've edited the file. Alright, so I want to create a file, and I want the file name to be, the result of the date command. Okay, so here date gets evaluated first, and it's going to be this grouping of stuff, and then I say touch, and so that first argument to touch is now going to be this output. Alright, now notice we made a whole bunch of files here. That's because there are spaces here. If I wanted that to be all one file, I would need to put quotes around it. And now we have one file, and the name of this file is today's date and time. Okay, so that's how you can use one command inside of another. We'll remove those. Okay, in the Linux terminal, what environment variable holds the username of the logged in user? Okay, so that's $, whenever you're on the Linux command line, $, and then characters after that, that implies a variable. Now if the variable doesn't exist, it just returns empty, right? But we have a variable user. So if I say echo, you don't have to have quotes. I'm just in the habit of always putting quotes around it. Echo user is Luke. I can have my path. It's where all of my programs are kept on the system. I can say shell. I could say echo home. Alright, and if I declare a variable or use a variable here that doesn't exist, so foo, I haven't defined that one, it's just nothing. Alright. Okay, in the Linux terminal, what environment variable holds the path of the home directory of the logged in user? So this one is kind of tricky because you might think it's path, but it's the path of your home directory. And again, on these homeworks, you guys can open up a command line and try them out, and then that's how you know. Home is the answer there. Echo home, and that's my home directory. In the Linux terminal, what environment variable holds the path to the currently running shell of the logged in user? Okay, so in one of the last videos of the lecture, we looked at changing your shell, and that's part of the last lab too. So to check what your shell is, you can do echo shell. Okay, so mine is user/bin/c shell. It might be /bin/c shell. It's in different places on different systems. A lot of times the user/bin one is just a link to the /bin/zsh. That gets a little too deep into Linux as a system, right? So I'm trying to give you the basics of an operating system, and it's important to understand these commands. Then when we move into programming, things will make more sense. Alright, so you have to be able to move around and walk a little bit in the operating system with the command line, and then we can get into making some cooler programs. Alright, so this one here in the Linux terminal, how could you create a directory named foo that contained other files and directories? I'm sorry, how could you delete a directory named foo that contained other files and directories? Okay, rmdir only works with empty directories. So if I say make directory foo, I can say rmdir, and see it showed up here, and I can just remove it, foo. That's fine. If I make directory foo, and then I make directory foo/bar, if I open up foo, sure enough we've got bar in there. If I try remove dir by itself on foo, it doesn't let me do it. Failed to remove. Okay, so to do that you need to use the remove command dash recursively and force. So these commands together are commonly referred to as rimraf. You're removing and recursively going into the directory and forcing any deletes. Alright, and so we're removing what? Foo. Alright, so rimraf, remove space dash rf. Alright, so that's the correct answer there. Both the copy command, which is cp, and the move command, which is mv, require a minimum of 2 arguments that are both paths, as do many other Linux commands. What are these arguments commonly called? Okay, so many commands do this. Move and copy are just some of them, but you have a source and a destination. Okay, I had A and B, this and that, and here and there. Source and destination is what we're looking for. All right, what does the pwd command do? Prints the working directory of the currently running terminal. Alright, pwd, print working directory. Alright, now this one by itself is similar to changes the user password. Change the user password command is passwd. Alright, there's print working directory. Now if you see these two commands next to each other, you know which one is which. So just remember, password has pass in it, okay? And then it's asking me to change my password. Okay, well I typed in the same password and it didn't like that, so well, okay, so now we're back to where we were. Alright, so the next one, what is password command? You see them together, it's obvious which one is which. This is obviously password, and that's print working directory. Okay, so the working directory is where you are located in the terminal. What does the cat command do? It concatenates files and outputs the result of all of the files you give it as arguments. It outputs those to the standard output, which prints to the terminal screen. Okay, so print the contents of a file or files to standard out. Okay, there's standard out. That's going to come up a lot. It's already come up a whole lot. Standard out, standard input, and standard error. Alright. Concatenates. I put this in there because that's what cat stands for, but it doesn't concatenate Linux commands. It concatenates files. So that was kind of to trick you. Sorry about that. Alright, what does the finger command do? It allows you to view the users currently logged into the system. Okay, so, and again, all these commands, when you're taking these homeworks, a lot of this stuff you can try out. So we'll get into Python too, and I'll ask questions about Python, and you can open up Python or write a quick little Python program and test all of this stuff out. Okay, so finger command allows you to view the users currently logged into the system. It allows you to set the user information associated with the account. This one is incorrect because that's change finger. CHFN changes your finger information. Okay, finger just shows you the information of everybody on the system. Okay, here's the next one. Change finger allows you to change the information. Alright, what date command output would include the day of the week that it is today? Okay, so this is just normal date. The little plus sign followed by a formatting string. This formatting string limits what kind of output is displayed. So here I'm displaying %y is displaying the 4-digit year, then a hyphen, then %m displays the 2-digit month, and then a hyphen, and then %d displays the 2-digit day. Alright, so this one is not going to output what day of the week it is. But again, you can just try these. Run date. And sure enough, if you just run date by itself, Tuesday. Alright, so these date commands are important. Just, if nothing else, as a way to understand how Linux commands can work. And understanding that you can rearrange the output, right? Okay, so none of these are correct because we see we've only got days and months and years in here, so none of these are going to be correct. All right, according to the lecture, what date command would print out an American style date? All right, the American style date is month / day / year. All right. Day, month, year, this is more of a European style. Alright, what command would change your default terminal shell to Z shell? Alright, so change shell, CHSH. So that's the command. We're adding the option -S, which shows us the name of the shell, and we went over this in the lecture, and then /bin/ZSH. That's where that shell program is located. Okay, so it's in the root of the file system. It's in a directory called bin, which usually stands for binary files, / and then ZSH is the name of the program. Alright, this is incorrect, even though Z shell, it's called Z shell, the name of the program is ZSH. And this is incorrect as well. What command would create a file on the desktop called me.txt that contains your username? Okay, so we can redirect some output here. If I use the whoami command, so if I do that, that outputs Luke, and I can say redirect that output. Instead of directing it to the standard output on the terminal, I'm going to redirect it to a file. I want it to go in my home directory, and then for demonstration purposes I'm going to use my desktop so you can see it appear. Desktop me.txt, and we see me.txt appear, and if we open it, sure enough, there's my username. Okay, but you would put that in your home folder. Oh, I did say desktop there. Okay, that works out fine, then this is correct. Alright, home does not work because that gives you the path to your home directory. Alright, shell doesn't work, that just tells you what shell you're using. Finger doesn't work because that gives you all of the logged in user information. I guess I might give points for that one because I guess technically I didn't say only your username. Oh, finger's not installed on the system. SSH name1. Yeah. Okay. So I'll go back and I'll give points for this one. Alright. All command options are also considered arguments, but not all command arguments are considered command options. Okay? It's important that you recognize arguments are just anything in the command separated by spaces, any extra information. Now there are special arguments that you can add called options, and the program recognizes these options. So with the ls command, it recognizes -l as a special thing. And I know it's special because I can look at the manual pages of ls, and these are all the different options. These are special. If I provide these options to other commands, they're not going to do the same stuff. It's specific to ls. Okay, so that's what a command option is. It's an argument that tells the program to do something special, and the program recognizes that as a special type of argument. Okay, but not all arguments are command line options. If you specify a command line option, it's going to be an argument, but not the other way around. All right. Given a file with a name that includes a space like myspacelist.txt, how could you print out the contents of that file to stand it out? Okay, so the answer was both of these. Let's see. File. So I believe the two that I had on there were cat. What was the name of the file? My list. So you can put quotes around it. That's one way. Let's go back to our desktop. So cat me.txt, that's got my name in it, or my username. Let's change the name of it with the move command, move me.txt, and I want to call it my list to my space list.txt. See, now it changed and it has a space in it. Alright, so mylist.txt, and I can echo some other names in there. Okay, so one way I can do it is with this backslash. This backslash escaped the space character. So that tells my shell, hey, I know there's a space here, and normally a space means that we're on to a different argument, but I actually want this space to be part of this first argument. Okay, so this whole thing now is my first argument. Alright, so the backslash is an escape character. It says, okay, hang on a second, time out. The next character here I really want to go in this first argument. Okay, I don't want it to mean something else. I don't want it to mean that we're moving on to the next argument. Alright, so I can do it like that, or I can say, what I prefer to do is put the whole thing in quotes. My list.txt, and then this is a little bit more readable. The backslashes make it a little bit tricky to read sometimes. Okay, so those are the two ways to do it, and the correct answer is both of these. Alright, so that does it for homework 2.